Good morning and welcome to the Mama Sanctuary's 2-minute deep breath practice. Today I'm really happy to be joined by Ruth Beech from Restore Balance, and she's going to be sharing her wisdom, expertise. She's our guest expert today, and she'll be sharing all about the importance of taking mindful deep breaths and all around the subject, including a few practices, simple practices that you can do on the go. So welcome, Ruth, and thank you for joining
Thank
me.
you. Thanks very much for having me.
So would you like to share who you are and what you do and why you do it? Because I always love to hear why people do do what they
Sure.
do.
Okay, I'll try not to go on too much. So I have three businesses, but I'll focus on the Restore Balance business because there's quite a lot to cover in that on its own. So I help mostly women, but also men who feel overwhelmed and that their life is a bit complicated to uncomplicate their life um, and feel happier and healthier and more relaxed. And the ways that I do that are with traditional Chinese medicine practices and mindset shifts as well. Um, and what else was in the question? I can't remember the rest of the question.
Why you do it? This is
Right.
the pure
So
nosiness one.
the big one.
What's
So
inspired
the,
you?
so the reason I started was actually when I was young, I was very anxious and overwhelmed. I had quite a kind of chaotic life and chaotic mind, and just found I got to a point in my it's a very long story, but I got to a point in my kind of late teens, early 20s, where I knew I needed to do something because I was spiraling out of control and kind of on the verge of a breakdown. And had some toxic relationships going on and just feeling really, um, deeply unhappy. So I started to, as you do when you're a teenager, started to read some self-help books and just sort of think about how I was thinking and found some more helpful ways to think
Mm,
and just started to be a little bit more positive. And came across meditation. We didn't really talk about mindfulness 25-ish years ago.
yeah.
Um, it was just kind of meditation, and came across Buddhism and just started to read a few things. And then um, I went traveling. So I had to leave the country. I got to the point where I just had to go. And I kept on this um, sort of uncluttering my life while I was away, which is so much easier when you're not surrounded by the clutter.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, obviously it's still there. So even though I was starting to feel better, I hadn't quite found the kind of steadiness that I needed.
Mm,
And then I just by chance came across a traditional Chinese medicine teacher, and I've been learning for about 24 years now. Mindful techniques, and they are, that's where it's where mindfulness comes from, Buddhist practice. Um, and I've been able to just stay level, even though I've had two children, and quite a lot of people in my family have died over the years. Quite a lot of other, life has happened
yeah.
basically. And it's been unbelievable how I've managed to stay steady, even though all these things have gone on that could have broken us, could have broken, us as a family, I think, and definitely me, because my mind is naturally very chaotic, but the practices, really helped me to stay on top of things and stay sane. And I use that a
Yeah.
lot. I use that
And
term,
stay
that word a
sane.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it really is staying sane.
that's it. And I mean, I use the term a lot, like staying on an even keel as well. It's like, because I think life can be very much like that, the ups and downs, and there's always going to be those ups and downs,
Absolutely.
highs and lows. But it's when you can practice these, because I mean, you're evidently your own best case study here. So thank you so much for
Mm,
sharing all of that with us. And I feel the same, like, it's like ups and downs. There's been a lot of stuff going on, and we're never ever going to change that.
no,
The one thing we ever have control over is how we respond to what's going on around us. And
absolutely.
like, I concur with my experience of mindfulness, that um it's helped me cope cope
Mm,
with life, for
yeah,
sure. So you've answered the wider picture here of the importance of the mindfulness, and let's home in on the actual mindful breath, taking deep breaths, the importance of that. Are you happy to share your experience for that? Well, the
sure,
importance of it first of all, and then how it's benefited you and your family.
sure. So when I started, the very beginning of starting my training, it was all about just learning how to breathe. It was because we don't know really how to breathe properly. We just, even if somebody says to you, take a deep breath, you probably breathe up here and you
There.
don't know how
Yeah.
to, unless you're a singer, singers are taught how to breathe properly.
Mm.
And sometimes musicians, because you're in that world where, breathing is, and theatre, and, when you have to project your voice. But everyday people, we don't really know how to breathe. And my mum is a really good example, as she had asthma all her life, but she just breathed up here, and I was able to show her, actually you should be breathing into your belly to get bigger, proper breaths.
Mm.
Um, so so when I was first learning how to breathe properly, it was an absolute revelation,
Yeah.
because it improves your circulation, it improves your digestion. I had stomach problems for years, and they went away. I actually started to lose weight because I was kind of holding a lot of weight, and that went. Um, and I wasn't like massively overweight, but I had, some extra. Um, and through the deep breathing, when you give yourself time um, to properly relax, you start to see everything more clearly, and then your mind isn't racing, and you might still have thoughts coming up, because we are human beings and we have a lot of things going on, so there will be thoughts. You can never get rid of thoughts, so don't listen to anybody who tells you should stop thinking when you're meditating. It's just not possible,
It's
because
not how
you'd
it
be
works,
dead.
is it?
Yeah. If you're not thinking, you're dead. If you're
Especially when you're a
thinking,
mum as well, and you've
yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
lots
If
of.
you think about it, if you spend a bit of time just focusing on breathing, you're still focusing on something, you're still thinking about something, so you're
Exactly.
always thinking.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly acceptable, because we are human and this is how we function. And it is just about not letting those thoughts run away and bringing your awareness back to the here and now.
Yeah.
And that really was life changing for me. And when my first son was born, I had a very easy pregnancy, really, really easy, lovely pregnancy, because I was, the healthiest I'd ever been in my life. And then when he came, it was extremely traumatic, because I mean, various reasons, and births are always a big deal. Everybody's birth is, very few women who have simple births. um, and he was posterior, no amniotic fluid, about 40 odd hours. And they didn't class me as being in labour, because I wasn't dilating. So I didn't dilate at all. Um, and even though I'd done all these practices, my body was just not playing the game.
Yeah.
Um, and it was quite difficult because I'd become very my husband had met me as this calm, level person. And then I suddenly was kind of bedridden for 3 months after having my son,
Mm.
lost all the muscle tone, went back to being a bit grouchy, quite a lot grouchy. Um, and suddenly he was like, oh, this is, and that was kind of how I had been before I learned these practices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, And it's difficult when you're a new mum, and it's difficult with a new baby. It's difficult as your baby grows. It's difficult when they're a toddler,
The
and
challenges keep changing, don't they?
yeah. But because I had those practices and because I um, came back to them and kept just remembering how to breathe, remembering that I was okay. And
Yeah.
that's the that's the biggest thing, giving yourself that little moment to just breathe
Yeah.
and just remind yourself, I'm okay. It's okay. And
Yeah.
then the positivity kind of dominoes and it grows and you can just deal with life.
Yeah. Oh,
Um, and yeah, so and then I, got the health back, and then another son came along.
yeah. So
um,
so where do you use these as part of your day today now? Or are you going to share that as part of the practices? I don't know.
Um, I will, but
Yeah,
um, but
that's
I'm
fine.
happy
No,
to
that's
say
fine.
now as well. I just literally just whenever I have a moment,
Yeah,
just
I'm the same.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So even sort of sitting when I was
Even now,
waiting for you to come on, yeah,
talking to
yeah,
you, I'm like deep
yeah,
breathing and
yeah,
belly
yeah,
breathing, and I feel relaxed and
yeah,
yeah,
and just noticing where you're holding stress in your body because that's where trauma and stress is stored in your body. So
yeah,
it gives you, when you allow yourself to breathe properly, it gives you a moment to kind of go, oh, okay, really relax that bit, relax that. That's where that's hurting or that's what's going on there.
and sort of becoming aware that life is a work in progress. It's not, and
Yeah,
it's we will always hold that tension as well as always have those challenges and just like that, it's that continual commitment to the practice, isn't it?
absolutely.
It's amazing. And do you have these practices benefited your children, your family as well?
Yes.
Or how have they benefited?
Well, so I'll try to keep the story short. So when my first son was around one, probably maybe even before, we realized there was something else going on and maybe wasn't a straightforward child. Um, and, very, very quick to um, just amazing at picking up anything that he tried and building towers and building constructions and being able to use computers and things just very quick. But he couldn't talk and he didn't talk for 4 years. I think he was about four when he started talking. And he was two when we had our second son, and he was the opposite. So he was a bit in a china shop and very chaotic, complete bundle of fun, really lovely, really cuddly. Older son wasn't cuddly at all. When you pick a child up and they sort of you expect them to put hold on to you. And the older son just like straight legs, and
Okay.
you had to do everything
Oh,
for him.
bless.
And then the second one was like a koala bear,
Oh,
and so cuddly. Um, but there were, really marked differences about them.
Hmm.
And I got a health visitor to come and sort of go with the with the younger one. I think there's some differences in his, him. He's not kind of responding to no
Hmm.
at all,
Okay.
which gets a bit stressful when he's going into bins and touching switches and stuff.
Yes.
And the older one understood that immediately, and
Hmm.
and they then focused on the older one and realized he's probably autistic.
Hmm.
And this is where I make the story shorter. Um, it turns out they're both autistic,
Hmm.
but they're very different.
Okay.
So the older one is very straightforward, very black and white. The younger one has what's called a PDA profile, which means well, the term that's usually used is pathological demand avoidance, but what it means is he's constantly anxious and he avoids demands because everything makes him anxious. Everything feels like a demand.
Yeah.
Um, and so they're very different. And trying to find ways of getting them both to kind of relax
Yeah.
and calm down just wasn't really working. And when children are young, I found it's much easier to get them to, because you can be really playful.
Yeah.
And because I teach exercise techniques, and
Hmm.
we could do these exercises, and they're kind of floppy movements, and then using the bringing your hands into
Hmm.
your breathing techniques so that
Okay.
you can be more active. So that's a really helpful way to use with children,
Yeah.
because children don't really want to sit still.
No. My youngest is
Um,
very much like that.
and there's a few things that I've been able to use with them that they will do, but as they've got older, they're a lot more resistant. And they're, mum, you're just mum, mum
Yeah.
doesn't know. But fortunately, because I've done it around them and it's been a normal part of my life, and
Yes.
they've seen me meditate, they've seen that it's normal.
Yeah.
Um, there are things that they've kind of, especially the younger one, has um, has done, and I've known that he's done, and I've kind of,
Yeah.
sort of peeked around his door, and I can see that he's sitting and he's meditating, or he's written in his diary,
Yeah. That's
um,
beautiful.
yeah,
It's
that he
amazing.
has. And there's
You.
one of the things I'll share is something that you can do with children that's very, very simple
Okay.
and
Yeah.
works really quickly
That's
and really helps with ADHD.
okay. Yeah. That'd be really useful. Thank you. Oh,
Mm,
that's really beautiful role modeling there from you as well. And that, even though they don't necessarily practice all the time now, but they've got that toolbox to help with their
yeah.
resilience and their coping through life, and that's
Mm,
lovely. Yeah. Again, very similar story with my boys. And actually, I've been feeling like I would like to reintroduce a bit more of a dedicated mindfulness practice with them, actually, because we used to, and we kind of, life happened and we
yeah.
moved and everything, and yeah, it'd be quite nice to. But I've caught my son meditating in the shower a few times. Like just knock on the door, like, oh yeah, in the shower. I mean, it's just I love it. This shower's a lovely place to
Definitely.
be. Like, oh, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing all of that.
That's
And
okay.
with what challenges do you come across, mums come across with specifically with practicing like breathing? I know we've already talked about the fact that we breathe from the
Yeah.
chest a lot, but
Yeah.
that's more of an educational thing, I think, and then like a learning. Because I mean, I belly breathe now. That's my natural
Mm,
breath.
yeah.
But I haven't always. And it's amazing actually. You look at a baby, and a
Yes,
baby always belly
absolutely.
breathes. Like, when do we stop belly breathing? I'm not actually
Mm.
sure.
I
Don't
think
know.
we, as women especially, and especially when you've had a baby and you feel like, you've got more wobbly bits around your belly, and I think you actually start when you're a child, and you
Yeah.
hold your belly, and you're told to breathe, when someone says breathe in, you pull your belly in,
Yeah.
and
And
you're
they're
always
always,
tensing your belly
and
because
with,
you want to look thinner.
yeah,
So
that's true.
we lose the relaxation. So we should have a really relaxed belly so that your breathing can happen properly and your energy can circulate and your digestion can work.
Mm,
But women especially, we hold so much tension in our stomachs.
mm,
Um, and I think that just really, and that's sometimes the hardest thing when I'm teaching people, because I start with, relax your belly and let your belly grow as you breathe in.
mm.
And so many people are like, I don't know if it is. I can't even feel your belly. And when you've had um a C-section, you can literally, lose the sensation in, your lower abdomen. So, women, because the some of the breathing exercises I teach goes all the way down, the body, so you can locate what's happening
Mm.
internally and really connect with yourself. And when you get to the lower bit of your belly, a lot of women just, I don't know if I'm doing it right. And it just takes a lot of time. And then it can be really off-putting because if it's not happening straight away, sometimes we just think, oh, I just can't do it. It's not for me. Um, but I think a big thing is just to not be hard on yourself and just let yourself
Learn.
get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let
Let you,
yourself just be where you
yeah.
are now, because this is where you are, and there's nothing wrong with how you are now. But
I
if you
think,
want to, do something to help yourself, then it's just a little bit of retraining your brain and
yeah.
retraining your body and making the connections again. And it
Yeah.
just takes time.
Yeah. You said that if you want to, that's the thing. It's like, if you want to,
Mm,
you can do it. Absolutely. And I would just add here as well that with my sons in particular, I think they when they got to school, they were so worried about having a six pack at the age
really?
at the age of like 6, 7, 8. Six pack, and then they were getting teased but they didn't have a six pack, and I said you go back to school tomorrow and tell them your mum's a massage therapist, and she says that everybody has a six pack. You can't see it.
Yeah, it's just untrained.
Yeah, I was like, come on, you're like 6 or 7 years old. You don't need a
Crazy.
six pack, bless
Oh,
you.
that's so sad. Yeah, unfortunately, that's one good thing about. Maybe it's because they're autistic, but that's not something that's on their radar at all. Especially the older one,
Okay.
he just, hasn't crossed his mind yet that that's something he has done. Sort of, he's used weights and things, but sometimes that's more of a sensory thing to
Yeah,
help. And again, that's input and relaxation helps to relax the nervous system. So
that's still
yeah,
a breathing thing as well, isn't it? Like doing the way it's like,
yes,
or whatever
yeah,
variations it is, but
yeah, the
it's like very
rhythmic
mindful.
part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. That's yeah, yeah. Because my son, he's using a pull-up bar now, a 12-year, the 12,
Okay.
and we're like, breathe out as you pull, as you load, breathe out, like stop holding your breath. So yes, again, like we're sort of trying to train him then to use his breath with his
Yeah,
strength, and yeah,
yeah, and that's interesting because breathe athletes are starting now to relearn how to breathe and
mm,
realizing that breath has a huge impact on their capacity to improve their standards.
yeah,
Because when you breathe properly through your nose, not through your mouth,
mhm,
always through your nose, and you breathe into your belly, and then the oxygen can travel
yeah,
around your body and it goes to your muscles, it improves your performance. So it
yeah.
is really important. So get your sons to look at, at athletes who have learned how to breathe properly.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a great tip. Oh, so yeah, that brings us on, I think then. Oh, well, did we do the challenges? Any other challenges at all?
Just everyday
Everyday,
life.
yeah,
Just,
everyday.
you are constantly being pulled one way or another. You've got, even if you think, right, I've got 5 minutes to sit down now,
Mm,
even if you're just sitting down, like looking at your phone or drinking a cup of tea, you've got a child calling you or a husband saying, oh, have you done this? Or somebody's knocking at the door, or there's a noise outside, or you've got a pet that's, asking you for
mhm.
something. So it's as mums and as busy mums, we're all busy, whether we're working one job, no jobs,
Mhm.
three jobs or more. We've all
No matter
got,
how many children you've got, you could have one child
no,
and or five children. It's all
absolutely,
based on your individual circumstances, isn't it?
absolutely. And what
What you
what
can cope with.
yeah, yeah. And what's happened to you in your life and what
Mm,
you're bringing with you and
exactly.
how you've learned to get rid of the old conditioning, because it's all of
Yeah.
it's about, about how we're made to feel when we're young, and we carry that with us, and how we're made to feel as mums. We're made to feel like we should be doing more constantly, and we should
When
be
the reality is that you should be
always,
doing less. Like, how can I do
yeah,
less? What can I get away with today? That's
yeah,
how I've been playing with this a lot. Like, okay, yeah. So like husband's unloading the dishwasher, and I'll
mm,
say to him, I know it needs doing, but I'll do it when I finish this tea, or like I'll
yeah,
do it when I finish this cup of tea, or I'll help you come and sit down with me, like when I finish the cup of tea.
yes,
But I am not getting up until this tea's finished. And then I'm like, well,
absolutely.
if he decides himself to carry on doing it, that's on him. That's
Yeah,
not
if he gets
on
cross
me.
about it, that's
Oh
also
no,
on him.
he never gets cross about it. He just does it, and I'm like, well, that was his decision. I've communicated what I need right now, and it's a cup of tea.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
lots of boundaries. But anyway, that's a
Mm.
completely different subject. So yeah,
But
um,
it is part of allowing yourself to have that space,
yeah,
though, to
absolutely.
yeah, to have these boundaries in place. Give yourself the opportunity to relax and breathe.
Mm. I didn't even know what a boundary was until about 4 years ago. After, like 20 years now in the holistic therapy industry.
Mm.
And until 4 years ago, I hadn't even heard the term boundary. I'm like, what's that? So for anyone who doesn't know what boundary is, it's basically what you do or don't tolerate in your life to protect your own time and energy. Unless have you got another definition?
No, 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 that's great. Yeah,
Okay. So let's do some practices then. Now, a
sure.
little bit controversial here for our listeners here. I am a big fan of using a timer, a 2 minute timer for breathing exercises, until you get into the habit of doing it as, second nature. Um, the idea of practicing this mindful habit of deep breaths is that you can use it anywhere, anytime, whoever you're with. Like I've sat at the dinner table with my family when things have been a bit fraught and everyone's a bit grouchy after a long day of work after a long day of work and school and stuff, and just gone, mummy's doing her breaths, you know. Or I've been doing it while I've cleaned my teeth. I do it, while I'm driving, right, as I said, while we're talking. Um, but likewise, until you kind of get used to it, sometimes it's good to, if you really want to sink into it, to use a timer just to know that you're definitely not going to be late anywhere. Like you set the timer for like a minute or 2 minutes to sink into it, relax in it, know that you don't have to be anywhere and you don't have to think about anything. And then it's just 2 minutes and then you can get on and do your day. Ruth has another way of working. So would you like to share as well? So it's really lovely to share these different ways so you can pick a
Mm.
way that works for you, like our listeners, I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah. So the reason I don't like to use a timer personally is because I think then we've got part of our mind on the timer rather than just focusing on the breathing. And I think the more we can rely on our own inner body clock as well, um, then that will help us, and we'll understand that we have so much more time than we realize.
We
And
do, yeah.
when you start doing any mindful practice, time expands, time actually, you start to realize, if you're just beginning to do mindful breathing, you might do it for 30 seconds or a minute, and that might feel like wow, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I managed that all of that time. But but you may actually, some people who think there's no way they could possibly sit down and meditate, just like do a formal meditation. I teach formal meditation classes as well. And there's one lady who had a very, very, very chaotic, oh, I can't, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I can't do that. My mind's always working. Blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, just see how you get on. Doesn't matter. It's fine. Just see how you do. And then 20 minutes later, and she, we stopped the meditation. I stopped the meditation. She could not believe that she had managed to just sit still. I mean, not perfectly still, because we're always going to be adjusting. And so not using a timer for me means that you give yourself a bit more space and a bit more, and you move away from the busyness of the rest of your life as well. But it is whatever works for you. And if you have something that you're about to, if you've got an appointment that you need to keep, if you need to go and pick up your kids, and you definitely have to be done by that time, maybe set it for, maybe give yourself extra time. If you have to, so maybe 5 minutes, and then just see how you get on. And if you get to 5 minutes, that's amazing. If you just do a couple, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
I
just a different way.
no, I 100% agree with that. I mean, that's how I personally work. That's how I work. But I
Mm,
just think for, like for people who are sort of just starting out, sometimes it's a nice idea to use a timer. But yeah, that's absolutely how I work, because then it is more intuitive then, isn't it? Like the use
yeah.
of the mindfulness practice, because it's actually it's a way of life.
Yes, absolutely.
It's actually, yeah, it's a lifestyle, to know that you are constantly soothing. So with practice, again, it's a
Mm,
practice. You have to want to do it, you have to commit to doing it and practicing. But it snowballs, doesn't it? It's
yes,
like it
absolutely.
snowballs, and you build and build and build this amazing toolbox of coping strategies for life. But actually, in the long run, it actually isn't necessarily a coping strategy, because it's just the way you live your life.
Mm.
And
But then if when difficult circumstances come along,
you can deal with them.
you're okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's kind
Yeah,
of it's happening, but you're okay.
yeah, that's amazing.
So
So
yeah. I think coping strategies is a good way of looking at it, because life is challenging. Life is, really can be very challenging.
yeah, it can be. So yes, so two different ways of doing it. So let's, well, I'm excited to be guided. So do we use a timer or not? I know we said that we would keep on track, but
Well,
now I'm actually conscious of the time, because I'm trying to keep them to like
sure.
30 minutes. So
Yeah, no, it's
is
fine.
that
Absolutely
all
fine.
right? We'll
Yeah.
do, um, okay. Do you want to, have you got a timer, or is it you using your phone?
No.
That's fine. Right. Um, how long shall I do?
Just a couple of minutes is
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Okay, let's go then. So first practice then.
Okay, so this one is literally just what you would do when you're starting anything. I'm just going to try and show you my belly. So just put your hands either side of your navel and just feel your hands connecting with your belly. You can probably see my dog's legs there as well. And as you breathe in, let your belly expand. So it's filling up like a balloon, and your fingers are being pushed away a little bit from each other. And then when you breathe out and your belly gets smaller, and your fingers come back towards each other, and just keep breathing out as long as you can, as long as it's comfortable. And just repeat that, breathing in, expanding your belly so you can feel that your belly is growing and that you're breathing into the right place. And then breathing out. And it's getting smaller again. And just breathe for as long as you can. So make the in-breath as long as you can. Make the out-breath as long as you can. If it's quite short to start with, that's absolutely fine. Just try and make it slightly longer breath the next time. And with practice, that just grows and grows. And you can do this while you're waiting for the kettle to boil, while you're sitting watching telly, while you're in the car, waiting to pick up your child. Anytime that you've got a moment. Okay, that's 2 minutes.
I muted myself. Are you saying about pets disturbing you? That was like right on cue there, wasn't it? Like she came just right as I started to relax. I'm very good at ignoring her. Yeah.
My dog likes to join in when I'm teaching here. He'll come and sit on people's legs, which is really unhelpful.
Yeah, well, I think they like the calm as well, don't
Mm.
they? Yeah, so she's off now. So I told you she's noisy. Okay, so we do the next
Sure. So the next one
minute.
um,
I'll
is
mute myself again.
one that you can do with your children, or you can just do it when you're on your own. And it's using a mudra. So a mudra is just a hand posture. So putting your fingers together and then straighten your forefingers and your thumbs, and they're just touching there. And just put your palms in front of your chest and look down towards your fingertips. Try and keep your head upright so that you're just looking down with your eyes and just breathing into your belly again. And just focusing as you're breathing, focusing on your fingertips. And it just gives your brain something to focus on. So you've got the breathing, you've got the deep breathing, and you've got your eyes focused, but just relaxed focus. So not staring, just relaxed focus. And this is called the power of stillness, this mudra. And it's very helpful if you've got ADHD, or if your child has ADHD, you can get your child to do this. And this is relaxing instantly. I find this really relaxing. And just think about keeping your hands relaxed, your shoulders and arms relaxed. Lengthening your spine upwards. Okay.
That's lovely. I need my glasses on.
Is that you okay?
Yeah. I'm a bit had to learn my hands a bit. I'm getting a bit I need glasses these days. So I was a bit too blurry. No, that's lovely. Just really
Yeah, it's
calming.
really
I can see
there's
myself doing that with
there's
my boys.
there's lots of different mudras as
Mm.
well. So that's just a really, really simple one and really effective with children, because obviously they're quite scattered.
Mm.
If we're scattered and they're scattered and everything's scattered, everything gets a bit crazy. So it's just really helpful to just, if you want to calm things down.
Yeah, and focus. I don't feel like just
Yeah,
having that focus and just
yeah.
yeah, it's there.
And if you have high blood pressure, it's better to bring your hands lower. I should have said that
Okay.
before. So yeah, so high blood pressure, bring your hands lower. Low blood pressure, you can bring your hands higher.
Okay.
And that helps to, yeah, sort of focus, because it's in front of your heart chakra. So it's just all about the energy syncing and all
Nice.
that stuff.
Want to try with my husband as well because he's got a high blood pressure.
Ah,
no hands and yeah, that's
So
beautiful.
the third one is actually the one I thought about was actually a more practical one that we can't do here, but I can just talk you
Okay.
through, if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's again just focusing on the belly breathing, but it's every time you wash your hands. So when you go to, and you were saying about in the shower, how
Hmm.
that's really relaxing. And you can, it's the same thing, same principle. You can use um, this principle in the shower as well. So when you're washing your hands and just focus on the water, washing off the
Yeah.
stress,
Yeah.
clearing out the day's tension, and you can even sort of picture things that have happened that day that have been difficult, anything that you've been emotional about, and just let it wash down and out of your hands, down the plug hole, and it's gone, and you've released it.
Love
And that's
that.
all while breathing slowly and just focusing on just that act of washing your hands. And again, in the shower, you can do it. It's wash all of your body, get
Yeah.
it all out of you.
It's like a nice energetic shower as well at the same time.
Mm,
That's lovely. That's a lovely one to do with the children as well, actually.
yeah.
They get home from school, like wash off the any stress of the school day and
Yeah, and that can be really important because school can be ever so challenging at the moment. I think it's getting more and more strict a lot of the time. I don't know what it's like in Scotland actually, but
it's very different from the English system, but it's not been easy to
mm,
adjust. There's been some challenges. So yeah, that's a lovely one. Thank you so much.
that's okay, no
I
problem.
feel very relaxed now. I don't want to get on and do any more work after this. um, so thank you so much for all of your wisdom.
No
And do you
problem.
have any last words of wisdom for us?
Well, it's kind of what I said earlier about not being hard on yourself and just letting yourself be as you are, because there is nothing wrong with you as you are. This isn't about, changing yourself because there's something wrong with you. It's just about making your life easier.
Mm,
If you're something that's, that you're finding that you're feeling unhappy or you're feeling unhealthy and you're feeling stressed, then they're just not helpful. And it's just about accepting that we're all the same. You're just the same as everybody else. We all have these things that are difficult for us, and just let yourself relax more.
mm, absolutely. Yes, I 100% agree with that. Thank you. Thanks
That's
so
okay.
much. And do you have anything you would like to share that's going on in your work at the moment, your business?
So the only thing is that I have lots of different groups on e- online. So wherever you are in the country, you can join. I do different classes about mindset shifts. So it's just because we're all overwhelmed. There's a lot going on, and the first step is to let yourself just work out what needs to change,
Mm,
what you're doing, what little habits you can build into your life, and how to make that simple, how to simplify your life. So I've got lots of groups about just starting that. So on my Facebook page, just look at the events, and I'll have different events going on. And just join any ones that you want to join.
and I
Um,
will put the details
thank
by the
you,
way for everybody in the notes.
thank you. And I've got lots of blogs on my website that might be helpful to you. Lots of things that I've written about how to be more zen, how to just
Lovely.
make that, your normal life, make that, just because it's actually a lot more simple than we realize to just start to let things go. And
Yeah,
letting go feels like such a big thing.
it does.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
but
is.
it's a process, and
I was
it's
going to say,
something
yeah,
that we
it's a
do.
process.
Yeah,
process even. And oh my gosh, and letting go of my family this week where they went off to Greece. That was a major thing for me. So, that's like, completely releasing control of
Yeah.
everything, really, and just having that time and space has been really quite mixed emotions,
Yeah.
but yeah. So,
Yeah. And
well,
I'm writing a couple of books,
okay.
and one of them is about my kind of, I hate the word journey, but my journey from living in Essex, being very, very, chaotic, and then I won't tell you the title because um, things can change, but
Mm-hmm.
it's about sort of learning, even though you might have come from a difficult beginning, there are ways that you can simplify your life and you can move towards feeling happier and healthier and more relaxed, really simply.
Beautiful. That
But that
sounds
might be a years to come until that's finished. But please do
wow.
keep
Thank
watching.
Wow, thank you for sharing with us, because I believe it's really important that when we are working towards something that we actually state the claim, we
Yeah.
state it. None of this keeping birthday candles, birthday cake secret. I'm like, this is what I've wished for, everyone. I told everyone we were moving to Scotland even before we were moving to Scotland.
Yeah, well, I've been doing the same about moving to Derbyshire, and I'm going to have a B&B, and it's going to have a
Yes,
retreat, and
yes.
it's yeah, yeah,
There we
it's
go. We
happening.
got to like no,
Yeah.
let's not keep it to ourselves anymore. Let's just share with the world, because it holds you accountable and people will
Mm.
support you. And then you actually learn to like shed some stuff about like listening to other people's opinions, and that it doesn't actually
Absolutely.
matter because it's what you want that counts.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yes, you only
And
have this
mindful
life
breathing.
once.
Sorry, say that again.
You only have this life once, so you might as well make the most of
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, keep breathing.
Yes.
Keep you calm and focused. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much for joining us, Ruth. It's been an absolute pleasure
Thank
to talk to
you.
you, and good luck with everything. Keep
Thank you very much.
it.
Yes, you too. I'll keep looking at your what you've got going on and look at your week of really helpful tips. That sounds brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much. Thank you.